and the Duke of Edinburgh makes another appearance as skipper of Bloodhound. Spectators crowd the shoreline to see Prince Philip and a brief glimpse of Princess Anne. The third race in the Admirals Cup series, the classic New York Challenge Cup. Before the Royal Yacht Squadron at Cowes, the yachts mass for the start of this second 33-mile race in the Solent. A 15-knot breeze causes jostling at the start of the race, and skippers and crews are hard-pressed to keep their craft out of danger. The wind stirs up the water, and soon the yachts are blown into rough weather. Now it'll be a real test of skill and endurance, and the Australian teams welcome the challenge. Seas are choppy and southwest winds punchy as the fleet speeds down the Solent towards the Lymington Spit Buoy. The weather grows worse. The Australian crews are stung by saltwater bullets in the gale and soaked by the constant drizzle, but they persevere, working even harder than before to capture, if it is at all possible, a third successive win for Australia. Sweden's Staika 4 pounds hard into the wind. Now it becomes necessary for the crews of the fleet to take the most extreme measures to counter the pull of the tides and wind against their craft. America's Figaro battles against the wind to round Leaf Buoy, but manages an impressive turn. Ireland's Shelmalian of Anglesey cuts through the choppy sea. Caprice executes an intricate jibing maneuver under spinnaker. The big fleet spreads out. The pace is keen, but the sailing conditions promise perils, the first of which comes now. Watch closely as America's Windrose breaches the port and starboard rule, tacking straight into Italy's Almere. Desperately, the Italian crew tries to avoid an imminent collision, but its rapid change of course forces the yacht onto Britain's drumbeat, striking her a glancing blow. Under sailing rules, Windrose is forced to retire. As the American yacht Caper approaches the finish line, a spectator craft skips through the water as a light-hearted convoy. Caper is first over the line, but is not automatically qualified for first place. To the amazement of the large crowd of onlookers, it is again number 13, Caprice, that rewards the perseverance of her Australian crew with a corrected time win of the New York Challenge Cup, her third successive win in the Admirals Cup series. At this stage, the Australians feel sure the Cup will soon have a new home down under. Fireworks over cows on the eve of the Fastnet race, the last and greatest race of all in the Admirals Cup series, and a perfect comment on the explosively happy Australians, who feel that the Admirals Cup could well be within their grasp. Australia is now only 14 points behind Britain, the Cup leader, and although the Australians celebrate their successes to date, they do not treat their remaining challenge lightly. They take every precaution in their preparations for the Fastnet race, loading their supplies for 5 days at sea and reviewing their strategy once more so there can be no last-minute mistakes. Public interest in the Admirals Cup series now reaches its peak. Italy's colourful trading ship, the Amerigo Vespucci, a replica of an 18th century vessel, joins the spectators. And then the final event in the Admirals Cup, Fastnet. 605 strenuous miles through the world's most treacherous waters. From Royal Cowes past the Lizard, around Fastnet Rock off the rugged southwest Irish coast, then past Bishop Rock to the finishing line at Plymouth. On a bright summer's evening, 35 Class 1 yachts over the starting line at Cowes on the first leg of their Fastnet race. Soon there will be 157 yachts from 14 competing nations heading out to sea. 1,000 men about to compete in a race reputed to be one of the world's toughest. "15 minutes after the Class 1 start, 51 Class 2 yachts are on their way. But one casualty at the starting line is the overeager Noryema 4, recalled for jumping the gun, sent back to start again. As the Class 2 race progresses, Australia's Caprice shows her splendid form once more by moving up into a clear lead in her division. Another 15 minutes and 71 Class 3 craft start out briskly in an east-running tide and light force 2 westerly wind. Baron de Rothschild's huge 90-foot yawl Gitana 4 leads the field down the Solent on the run towards the Needles, the stark outcrop of rocks that are a famous Isle of Wight landmark. Gitana 4, with her 9,000 square feet of sail, is to run away from the rest of the fleet and break the Fastnet record by an elapsed time of 11 hours. The yachts move on their way, through the day and into the night, but there are still many grueling miles yet before them. The following day, Caprice and some of her competitors passed the landmark called Start Point. Records show Fastnet to be one of the world's truly great challenges of yachting skill and endurance. Australia, with her rough weather boats, is prepared, but winds are the lightest on record. For our crews now, it's frustrating Fastnet. The crew of Britain's Quiver, realizing that this will be their last chance to ensure that the Admirals Cup remains in British hands, works feverishly to win first place in the Fastnet race, knowing that the crews of their main opposition, Australia, will be working in the same way. Another evening, and the yachts inch towards the next part of their course, the Fastnet Rock. As on many other occasions, Freya's navigator and the navigators on the other yachts work well into the night, carefully plotting course for the next stage of the journey. The fortress-type lighthouse Fastnet Rock looms up out of the sea. Towers above Camille as she approaches cautiously but well. Ireland's Moonduster negotiates the turn and makes a good job of it. But Camille has the advantage and moves away, followed by other competitors. Some approaching yachts run into heavy rain and wind squalls. Great Britain's Outlaw loses her mast and Sweden's Vagabond breaks her main boom. Caprice has rounded the rock and is now heading for home. Britain's Firebrand makes a fine picture as she cuts her way through the Atlantic waters. Australia's Freya points her prow towards Plymouth. As her crewmen attend to their duties, her navigator takes an accurate check of the course on his radio direction finding compass. On Freya's deck, skipper Trig Halverson steers a true course towards home. As the yachts move closer to the finish line at Plymouth, Caprice sails into the darkness of another night. But the end of the day does not mean the end of work for her navigator. He continues plotting his course as Caprice's other crew members catch up on well-earned sleep. Historic Plymouth Hoe, where a Spanish armada was seen by Sir Francis Drake in 1588. Today, the finish line for the Fastnet race. The first Australian yacht across the finish line is Caprice of Huon. The second Australian craft to finish, Camille of Seaforth. The third Australian over the line, Freya, closely followed by Loretta Maria. Now all have finished their race. The Admirals Cup series has ended. The Admirals Cup remains with Britain, due to the fine sailing of the Quiver, Noryema and Firebrand crews and the fine yachts they sailed. The congratulations of all competitors go to the victors. As well as giving congratulations to the winners of the Admirals Cup series, our congratulations go to Australia's first challenge team for its great achievement. To Caprice, Freya and Camille, separated by only 44 points from Britain's win. Australia's skippers say, not good enough. We'll bring the cup home next time and the time after that. And Australians know there's every chance that they will.